You raised a concern that big business doesn't like uncertainty, so we need to get Brexit over with as quickly as possible to end that uncertainty. Do you perhaps not feel if we don't really define the things that we want from Brexit effectively, if those things perhaps aren't defined at all, that actually we create more uncertainty for business, particularly if they don't know what trading arrangements they're going to have in manufacturing, services, finance and other sectors?
No, because what would happen is, as you made in your argument, you said, well, we need select committees on this, things on that. We'd spend ages debating. We'd spend a year, 2 years just debating what we want instead of the government going ahead and negotiating and delivering what we want. We would be creating lots of parliamentary obstacles for people like Liam Fox, the International Trade Secretary, binding his hands. Whereas at the moment, people need a sort of strong government with a strong agenda, ready to sort of make deals and that sort of thing. Whereas a long process of debating what sort of Brexit do we want. You'll have people trying to scupper Brexit, as I said. You've got Nick Clegg and people like that wanting a second referendum and stuff like that. What would end up happening is that they would tie the hands of the ministers and what have you so much that it would create even more uncertainty.
But if we don't know what we want, if you like, we're certain that we might get a bad deal because we haven't listened to what business actually wants from Brexit, so won't that just create a bad sort of certainty that could actually damage the economy?
I don't really see business represented much in Parliament anyway, at least from the Labour side. So I don't know what business you're talking about being represented in this. I think if Theresa May wants, she can always pick up the phone to the Chamber of Commerce. We don't really need a parliamentary debate on it.
OK. The other danger that you've spelt out is that people might try and scupper Brexit in Parliament. Now, considering that Labour and the Conservatives have committed themselves to Brexit and they make up 90% of MPs in Parliament, how likely do you think that is?
Well, I'd say that probably about 70% of MPs were in favour of Remain. You've got people like Tony Blair wanting to put things like a second referendum out to people. All of this stuff is done with the aim of scuppering Brexit. I would say that a number of those people on the Labour benches, whatever they've said now, they seem to change their policy every week at the moment. So I don't think we could really rely on them. And a lot of these people joined Parliament and joined politics with a fundamental belief in the European Union. What this referendum showed was that the political class was out of touch with the British people.
Well, if politicians are out of touch with the British people, there are some people out there who voted leave, who want certain freedoms to be returned to the United Kingdom. How can our Brexit negotiators know what those freedoms are if they don't have representation in Parliament to spell out to them perhaps what's the most important freedoms we could win back?
We still have a parliamentary democracy. We still have, and the Conservatives did win the last election, and as a result, it is the Conservative Party that will be deciding on these things. And remember, people knew all this when they voted. People knew it was a leap in the dark. That's what Project Fear was. It was saying this is a leap in the dark, and people said, you know, the situation we have is so bad, we're willing to take that risk.
Do you think a leap in the dark, as you describe it, is the best possible way to approach Brexit?
What I was saying was that people knew that they didn't know what they were necessarily getting, and they knew that it was the job of the government of the day to sort that out. They decided to do it, and it is the job of the government of the day to sort that out. We need a strong government in order to negotiate. If we cannot negotiate. I've never heard. I mean, the Treaty of Schleswig-Holstein was not negotiated by committee. I'm sorry, you know, and neither can. And this Brexit is going to be harder than that treaty. So we cannot be doing it by committee. As you said, lots of select committees and the like.